Hi guys, welcome to our channel. I'm Mark, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be talking about the bane of this year's season with the swimming pool. As an owner of a couple of holiday cottages, I've always taken pride in how good my pool looks. Crystal clear waters, immaculately kept clean, apart from this year. At the start of the year I dumped 70% of my water, which is what I do every other year now to reduce the stabiliser within the water, and refilled it. And a few weeks after that I noticed I was developing a sort of copperish light brown stain above the waterline, and the normal cleaning chemicals weren't touching it at all, wasn't even budging this stain. I went to a friend's house a week later who had a swimming pool as well, and he explained he had the same stain and he felt it was due to some of his guests using self-tanning lotions or perhaps a certain type of suntan lotion, and it was creating an oil or tar that was sticking to the surface of the liner. So I popped along to my local swimming pool centre, took a water sample just in case, explained the conversation I had with my friend that we felt it might be suntan lotions or self-tanning lotion, but after testing the water they came back and said that they found slight metals within the water and they felt that was causing the stain. So they sold me a product to get rid of all the metals within the water, and I think it may have been caused by that renewing 70% of the water within the pool. He suggested raising the water level above the stain, keeping it there for 48 hours, and the anti-metals should then remove all the stain. So we did that. Didn't touch the stain at all. Once the pool was reduced down, the stain was just as bad as it was. So I went back to the shop. He just said it might be a case of just using a lot more elbow grease, which I did. Wasn't touching the stain at all. He then suggested perhaps using white wine vinegar or even normal household soap on the stain. Again, tried those to no avail. This was getting very frustrating, so I went to a different pool place centre, local one, and they were flummoxed. Couldn't think what it was. They did a water sample, again said there were slight metals. Don't know why, because I'd already bought an anti-metal one, so they sold me another. Put that in the pool, didn't touch it. They then suggested perhaps it was fungi growing on the other side of the liner that was showing through. I didn't believe that, and went back to the initial shop and they couldn't come up with any other suggestion. The only thing they said was, well, your pool liner's what, 15 years old now, Mark, perhaps it's time to renew. Perhaps it's just deterioration through sunlight that's caused this stain and you need a new liner. So it's €2,000 to €2,500, please. I thought, oh God, what am I going to do now? And I desperately tried to keep it clean, but it was just getting worse and worse throughout the season. I found it very embarrassing for our guests here. I explained to them that I didn't know what the cause of the problem was. I just kept the water crystal clear and just closed my eyes when I saw this stain. And during the course of the season, it went from a light copperish brown to a very dark green. Out of desperation, I started using other products. I even used Domestos, neat Domestos, on a 4-inch square sample of the liner. Put it on neat, left it for an hour, didn't even touch it. Now we've used Domestos on black mould before in bathrooms or kitchens, and within 5 minutes the mould's completely gone. After an hour of neat Domestos on that liner, didn't even touch the stain. We've got a young baby, we've got baby wipes. Went out and got some of the baby wipes, used that on the stain, and believe it or not, all of a sudden some of the stain started to come off with just a gentle wipe of the baby wipe. And it was just like the outer layer of the stain, a dark green. And when I actually touched it, it actually felt very tarish. And it brought me back to the conversation I had with a friend at the earlier part of the season. I went online and actually found that there are products being sold that actually eat away any tars or oils on your liner or within your pool. So I went back to the swimming pool place, and sure enough, on their shelf was a product for cleaning oil or tar off your liners. I couldn't believe it. 4 months of embarrassment with our guests, and I find the product being sold in the shop I went to at the start of the season. There was also a product for metal stains, and the woman within the shop said if I were you I'd go try the metal stain one first. I ended up buying both, and you'll see the results in a minute. But I think what initially happened was that we had a tar stroke oil stain on the liner, and over the season algae had started to grow and attached itself to the tar and actually got absorbed within the tar, and it became impenetrable. It had a protective film of tar above it, so all the normal cleaning agents just weren't budging it. But thankfully it's done now. I'm €2,500 better off by not having to go out and buy a new liner. Okay, the first product I used was the anti-metal stain remover, and this particular product is called Star Bright, and it's reduced it a bit, quite a bit actually, but there is still the stain there. Just to give you a comparison, we'll move along and we're back to the untreated section. We then move over to the tar stroke oil remover, and again slightly better. You can see a dark stain at the bottom. I'll wash that off in a minute, and a definitive line though of where the product finished to where the existing stain is. So I'll just give this a rinse off now and we'll see how it looks. I've dropped my water a little bit just to show you more so, but I think it might be a case of using both products. We'll have a look in a minute. Oh, this product is HTH, and it's like a gel. Okay, I just rinsed the tar stroke oil remover off. That brown line that was at the bottom of the watermark is now gone, and you can see the definitive difference between the old stain and the lighter new. Right, I think what I'm going to try and do, looking at these results, the fact I'm going to have to use both products, is I'll use the as the recommended choice of the CUISINE place, the anti-metal first, followed by the oil stroke tar remover, and see how that does. Okay, well I used both chemicals, and it's not all gone, but 80 or 90% of that stain is now gone, and the pool's looking so much more inviting. We've got a next set of guests coming today, so I couldn't do any more last night. But what I will do when I close the pool is I'll get these chemicals out again. I use both of them and give it another clean. But very impressed with the chemicals. Not so impressed with the swimming pool shop though. So I think the word of warning is, don't trust what you're being told in a swimming pool place. They haven't got a clue. It's all guesswork. And rather than you waste 4 months of time, as I did, finding the right solution, hopefully you'll come across this video and it's going to save the day for you too. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have liked it, please check out our other videos, and if you hit the red button, subscribe to our channel. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it.